Hello, everyone. Tony Bristol here, and I have one of my best special guests joining me today. It's my wife, Kristen.
Hello.
She is terrified to be on camera this morning.
Yes.
So for those of you just listening to me, you will not notice the nervous jitters that she has, but she is the love of my life, and she's my biggest support system. And excuse me, I couldn't do this without her. Couldn't do this without her. And I wanted just to give her some praise and some gratitude this morning as we sit here on this nice rainy Seattle morning and just get present to the love in our lives. Yeah. So I'd like to start off today with just a quick recap. I know I did a brief podcast while I was in the hospital, just to let you guys know what was going on with me and why you hadn't heard from me for a while. On Monday, I actually had a very successful brain surgery. I don't know if you can tell, but I do have a scar back here somewhere that's about 4 or 5 inches.
You'd have to
Yeah, I'd probably have to turn around, but anyway, you guys
looks
probably
really
don't.
good.
You guys probably don't want to see it anyway, but I'm just so blessed. As you'll read in my book, because I actually had to rewrite my book when this happened, when I had my second brain hemorrhage 10 days ago. It was a beautiful and amazing experience to be right in the face of my mortality again. God keeps blessing me with these opportunities to see how fragile life is, how important people are in my life, and how much my message is important, not just to all of you listening today, but really to the world who hasn't even listened to me yet. I really think that there's a message to get out here about being cured and about, that's not always easy. I mean, brain surgery is not an easy thing. And, as I wrote yesterday, I went in with the possibility that my eyes might not reopen, that I might be missing some faculties, some vision, some hearing, some, who knows what, right? At least that's the area that they told me they were cutting into. So, it's when I woke up, I just felt so alive and so wanting to do more and more and more and more in this life. And I'm clear, like I've already outmortgaged this life for myself, that the rest of this life is really, for God. It's for all of you listening. And it's just really to contribute. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. I love a good cry in the morning, though. Anyways, it's not sadness. It's just a feeling of love that I get when I'm truly present to the real me, and I just love it. I just love it. So, with that, I'm going to kick off podcast 5, which is I wanted today to really just be about love, marriage, and how dealing with either a chronic illness or a terminal illness, or at least what others view as terminal, not me, but can affect those things, right? It's hard enough to be married. Kristen and I, we've been married for what now?
20
years.
20 years. Yeah.
20 years. And, for the most part, it's been a very, I would say, easy relationship as far as we haven't fought a lot. We haven't argued a whole bunch. We're not perfect by any means. I'm not here to say that I'm the perfect husband. And I've definitely, not always thought of my wife first. in every situation.
Yeah, but I think that's normal.
It
Because I
is,
could say the
but
same.
it is, but I just want to be open and authentic, because I think a lot of times in our society, especially with social media, we try to put up a front that everything is great,
Mm-hmm.
that our lives are wonderful, which they are. We're tremendously blessed. I mean but that's of no doing of my own. I do really think God has really blessed us and provided us with a wonderful path, and has shown myself and my wife and my family the way that that really works for Him and for us. But like I said, I'm not here to say how wonderful our life is. Obviously, with the cancer and all that, it's put a lot of strain, and I'd probably say it's the toughest year of our marriage, just from a stretching us and not being comfortable. Right, we've had a pretty comfortable life up to this point, and it's challenged us. It's challenged us and like how we support each other. Like one of the, there's always great things that come out of things like this. And one thing that I've gotten is how much my wife loves me, how much she cares for me, how good of a caretaker she is of me. And like yesterday, I bumped my elbow on the door jamb, and she comes running up all worried and scared, and I was obviously okay, but I could just see the terror in her eyes. Like, she is so worried about me all the time. And if there's one thing I could take out of her space, it is the worry about me. But I know I can't do that. She'll always be worried about me. And that worry is actually also the love that I feel too from her all the time. So to start this podcast off, one, I just want to again acknowledge her for who she is for me in my life, but I also want to ask her some questions, because I know a lot of you listening to this who either have a chronic illness, and forgive the rain noise in the back, but it's just the beautiful Pacific Northwest washing, maybe crying a little bit this morning also. And I wanted this to be the backdrop of today. I think it's perfect, just to have that nature in our background, and really be able to hear the skies opening up is just a beautiful thing. So if it gets too bad, I'll try to edit it, or maybe we'll re-record it if it gets too bad. But we'll give it a try here this morning. So to start off, I just wanted to ask you, honey, a couple questions, because obviously, we had this talk the other day about how hard it must be for someone married to someone with a chronic illness or a terminal, diagnosis, and the feeling of so much out of control,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, you have no control over what's I'm going through. And boy, it is raining hard.
It is.
But anyway, we'll see how this goes. But I wanted to get your perspective on how that's been for you as a wife, as a caretaker, as a significant other of someone dealing with this kind of situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, just walk me through like when you first heard what I had, and the initial, like, you've got cancer, you've got stage 4 cancer, and potentially you've got like 8 months to live. Like, if you can remember back that far and kind of just like put yourself back to that moment where you were kind of given that information as my spouse, as my lover, as my companion, what was that like for you?
It was it was all consuming. It was scary. It was like, okay, what is there to do next? You know, like it was kind of okay, let's throw ourselves into the what's next, what can we do next, let's do this, let's, you know. One part was that you've kind of always been you take care of everything. You kind of are like, I joke, I really don't think I'm crazy, but like I'm kind of the emotional one that you sort of, you know, bring down into reality, like cut all of the, you know, kind of cut the fear and the emotion and sort of like, okay, what are the facts? Let's, you know, let's dwell in the facts. Let's not dwell in the kind of the emotion. But when you were diagnosed, it was sort of like, okay, well, I don't have that anymore, because you need to keep yourself on track. You need to concentrate on yourself and you know, whether this was true or not. I just sort of felt like I was kind of alone. Like, you know, I had to take care of me. And I used to walk around the neighborhood. Like, I love to go on walks. I love being in nature. I feel like that really sort of rejuvenates me, and I can sort through my thoughts and feelings, and I usually come back, you know, feeling so much better. But I used to walk around the neighborhood and just cry. And but then I would come back like feeling better, and you know, be able to put on all right, let's do this, you know. You don't need to take care of me. I got it. So it's, you know, on one hand, you're very can do, positive, which makes me feel, you know, much better about it. Like it has me, you know, dealing with it better.
Right.
So I'm super thankful for that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I'd be in a much different place if you were, you know, I'm dying. This is terrible.
Right.
You know, feel sorry for me.
Get in a little closer. There you go.
I'm trying to run. I don't like this. It also has sort of moved us into a caregiver patient role.
Yeah. And how have I been as a patient? At times.
Well, you're sort of a naughty patient.
She calls me a little rooster.
Yeah, he's like a rooster that tries to escape the
coop.
The coop. Because he does stuff I think he's not supposed to do. But in like a positive way. Like, I'm, you know, the day after brain surgery, or no, the day after you came home, you wanted to go for a walk and take a shower by yourself. And on one hand, I love that because it makes it easier for me. And like, I feel like we're more normal. But then on the other hand, it's traumatic to see something happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think overall I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. How has our relationship changed and altered during this journey over the last, it's almost been, at the end of this month, it will have been 11 months. So how has our relationship, I would even use the word evolved, because I think, at least for me, like it's gotten stronger. Mm-hmm. I mean, the intimacy definitely has gone down as far as like what I think typical people say what intimacy is, like the sex and all of that has been non-existent in our relationship. So we've had to rely on, other senses to get that intimacy that we used to be able to easily get before. But tell me how our relationship has evolved and just, during this time and, and from your perspective.
Well, I think we talk about like deeper feelings more than we did before.
Yeah.
We spend a whole lot of time together.
We do. Yeah, especially with what's happening in the world with COVID and those challenges. It's like we are definitely, I think everybody's spending more time together, right?
Yeah.
Which is a great thing, I think, personally.
Yeah. We went through some, just growing pains with both of us working at home, and Tony was working on the couch all the time, and I feel like we had is that when we had that big weird fight and
about space?
Yeah, I felt like
maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, we've just, I guess how our relationship has evolved is we just talk more, like we're more connected with, more sharing thoughts and feelings. And I think we have longer.
Like when you didn't want me to have the bagel yesterday?
Well, I was just reminding you what the endocrinologist said.
My wife is so great. She loves to contribute to me as often as she can. But she didn't want me to have wheat yesterday morning, and I threw a little tantrum. I'm not always the most mature, but the
steroids have added a whole other layer.
They have.
Because of the I sort of joke, like, you're sort of this new person on steroids that I sort of like. Because before you would have been like, for example, when I was talking about, so we have this, we usually agree pretty much on, like, if we're going to update something in the house, like we kind of can usually come to a consensus on what we both like, and we really don't have to give too many concessions to each other. Like, we'll say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want this? And then if Tony's like a 10 and I don't really want it, I would let him have it because it was super important to him. But in the past, I think you were a little bit more like, oh yeah, if you want that, then we can get it. Like, what you want is really important, so you can have it. And one day we were in the kitchen and I was talking about our fireplace, because we have this, our house was built in the mid 2000s or early 2000s.
Yeah.
And we have this like fireplace that's got green and
this
rust.
is gonna sound very bad because we're like arguing about a fireplace, but it's life.
Yeah,
it's what happens.
So
when you have too much time on your hands.
So I said, don't you want to like update this? Because we look through our kitchen and then we see this like, earth colored,
which I think's beautiful.
Yeah. And Tony was like, hell no.
I didn't say hell no.
Yeah, well, you said F no.
Okay.
I love that. We're not changing it. Okay. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I used something a little harder than hell no.
But I was like, wow, all right. You're kind of exciting right now. I sort of like it. So I don't know. Our kids call him Papa Roy because he goes from 0 to 60 with anybody that knows Tony knows he's the most like easygoing, never really gets mad or upset about things. And now it's different. It's 0 to 60 and
medications.
Just drop it. Don't try to push it. I've been telling our kids that, like, Papa Royd is out, you need to walk away because you will not win that discussion.
Right. Well, and I think it's one thing that when you're the patient, when you're the one dealing with the disease or the chronic illness, it's easy to also put a lot of blame on like medications you're taking and stuff like that. And one thing I've really been trying to do, especially in the last month, is not be at the effect of my medications. It's easy to say, oh, it's the steroids, or it's the this, or it's the that, or the, and you can go that route, right? And no one will ever question you, and they'll look like a heel if they ever do, right? But there is some power in recognizing the state you're in and having a choice in that moment. Like, I can either really fly off the handle here, and I've been on the most steroids I've been on in the last, since my treatment has started in the last week, as they've been trying to like reduce the swelling in my brain. And so, I mean, I've got all the excuses in the world right now to just be a total ass, right?
Yeah.
But there's also something on the other side of that I found, that I can either be at the effect of my situation, of my medications, and have all the support from my community that, hey, that guy just had brain surgery a week ago, like, give him some space, let him be as big of an asshole as he can, he's been through a lot. Or I can be accountable for how I'm being.
Yeah.
And really like start to talk and communicate. Because I tell you, the biggest detractor from me being great is not communicating.
Yeah, and I've noticed that too. This is really, I don't like to cry. I don't like to talk about emotions. I anyway, what I've learned through all of this is it just is worth it so much to talk about how things are feeling. Because the other part of when you first got sick, I was like I would get mad at you for something, and then I would feel like such a horrible person, like that I got mad at you for, I don't know, whatever I used to get mad at you or irritated
Leave my
with
clothes
you.
on the side of the bed.
Like leaving a huge pile of clothes on the side of the bed and not putting, like just that same stuff would still irritate me that you do.
I'm not the cleanest person to live with, by the way.
No, he's not.
And she loves order. She loves order.
And so I just, I just kind of got to, we can't, I'm still like, I haven't gotten it totally figured out, but what I've kind of started to crack the surface on is we still have to live life, and we still have to, we're still going to get irritated with each other.
Yep.
We still, but just because you're sick doesn't mean that we have to stop living and communicating and talking and loving each other. Like,
don't forget that one.
Right. So I don't have all the answers to that, but I feel like I'm sort of embarking on oh yeah. And then we have a friend that has cancer.
We have two.
Well, yeah, two. And
that are close to us. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of my friends said that when she told her boys, she was like, I don't want you to treat me any different. I don't want you to, if I make a decision and you get mad at me for it, I want you to be mad at me for it. I don't want you to treat me any different. And so I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like, that's awesome. That's just a really good, kind of can keep things sort of normal.
Yeah. Maybe there's a future episode about children, because that's a whole nother hour of conversation about how you interact with your children through all this, how you communicate these types of things to your children.
Yeah.
There's just so much there regarding that. one thing I did want to get into, because I think you've done a great job, and maybe it's out of that you just had to, but I want you to tell me a little bit about like what you did as far as like setting up structures in your life outside of me to take care of yourself. Like things that you did to take care of Kristen during this. Like
Yeah.
you went out and did certain things
Yeah.
that you just knew like I can't do this alone.
Yeah.
I need a support system outside of Tony.
Yeah.
Tony's amazing and all that, but he needs his time. I need my time.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to just hear from your perspective, like what you did to basically, one, come up with those ideas, right? Because not everyone goes to that place.
Yeah.
And then number two, the actual things that you did to kind of work yourself through these tough times.
Yeah. So I'm also kind of not one to take care of myself as well as I should. I think our friends and our community really were sort of the catalyst for like, no, we're gonna do this with you and for you, and you're not gonna say no. So one thing well, there's sort of the pre-COVID and then there's after COVID. But pre-COVID, I would go out for coffee, and I would go on, I love to walk. And so I started kind of walking with others so that we could talk and walk at the same time, and I could see people. Because it's sort of like this roller coaster of like, I need to be home and taking care of you, and I can't leave you for very long, to, well, you're pretty self-sufficient and I can go, out for the day with one of my friends. We like to thrift and go out to lunch. And let's see, what else?
And then with your therapist?
Oh yeah, so I got myself a therapist, which was really awesome. I feel like I get a little nugget from her every week that I talk to her. I think I'm probably more in tune with our kids too. Not that that's taking care of myself, but kind of honing in on the kids a little bit more and being able to do things with, like, more intentionally do things with each of the kids, I guess, is sort of taking care of myself.
Do you see yourself as a better mother now than you did a year ago?
I don't know.
That's a tough one. Well, I do.
In some ways,
I
yes.
do.
In some ways, no.
I see you spending a lot more time with our kids,
Yeah.
rather than having them be like a distraction in our lives. That's how it occurs for me, right?
Yeah.
And I think they feel that love too. I mean, especially, I've not always been the most accessible in the last 11 months, with what I've been going through and being tired at night, and you've filled that really that hole. I think that was left by me not being as accessible. Whether you feel it or not, I don't know, but I get that. Like, you're out going for walks with, our youngest Cole. You're connecting a lot more with our oldest Nico.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Ethan's bugging you right now, I know that I see glimpses of him also, loving on his mom more lately, and
he's only bugging me because he's his child and he's so messy. He lives in a hoarder's bedroom. And it drives me nuts. And Tony's like, what's wrong with it?
Right,
it's fine.
Right.
I'm like, no,
that's my kindred spirit over there.
It's not okay.
Right. Well, yeah. So, I mean, definitely, during a journey like this, it's difficult. And I think you've heard a little bit from from us and today, and less of like tips and tricks. I want these podcasts to be about, and more about just the real feelings about what it's like, right?
Yeah.
Because look, everyone's going to do something a different way, and I've repeated this many times in my podcasts, and you'll read it in my book when it comes out, that I'm not here to tell you how to live with terminal illness. I'm here to share a mindset with you guys. You can adopt it. You can say, this guy's a cuckoo clock. I can't do what he's doing. It just seems so unnatural for me. You can have any response, and I have all the space for you to be wherever you're at in your journey. Whether it's one where you're like, I'm buying into this, I'm cured, this isn't going to take me, it's not going to take away my family, it's not going to take away my love, it's not going to take away from me being who I truly am in this world, right? But it's going to add to, it's going to make you a more beautiful person. It's going to have you want to live. It's going to have you want to live that life that you've been so preciously given, that maybe you've forgotten how valuable it is. And that's what I really want people to get here with all this, is the juice of life, and how amazing it is. And having 10 days ago stood at the face of, are my eyes going to open again? And being at that cliff, and just being like, God, if you want to take me now, I'm ready. But I think there's more. I think there's more that you want me to do. And he woke me up and gave me a big hug. He said, get out there. Stop laying on your back. And, that was 10 days ago. And I feel like I've been shot out of a cannon, ready to contribute to those who are open to being contributed to, and making a difference in the world, to those who maybe are knocked down on a knee, whether it be through an illness or through the financial issues that are plaguing our own country right now, through any hate or divide that's plaguing our country right now. I just think there's so much beauty in this world. And as we start to rub off the rust and the grime and the whatever else is covering that beauty, that we're all going to get through this, whether it's my cancer, whether it's your cancer, whether it's your chronic illness, whether it's that paycheck that maybe got held up for a week, or maybe it's that job that you lost. You know what? Love and caring for all of us human beings, is going to get us through this time that's been so tough on every one of us. And I'm just blessed to have you all here with me today, listening. For those of you who are watching this, I just want to tell you that I appreciate you all. And I just really look forward to a relationship with all of you, even though we're not sitting across from each other. In reality, virtually we are. And I feel your love. And thank you for all the prayers everyone has given me during this time, during my time of need. And this wraps up episode 5. Anything more you want to say, babe, before we turn this camera off?
No.
Okay. All right. You
Okay.
have been released.